Hello there, welcome to the channel. My name is Will Shaw, and today I'm going to be covering the 4 most important things I think you should do when you are hiring your first employee. So let's get up off the therapy couch and get over to the drawing board. Let's get started. I want to go through them very quickly here. So we have determine assets and liabilities, determine delegable tasks, create the title and the job position, and then file needed accounts. This is what I consider step 1, is to determine the assets and liabilities. An asset could be like, what is adding this person to your business going to bring? You know, if you're bringing somebody full-time, you get somebody 40 hours a week. That's an asset. A liability would be, now you have whatever they're gonna cost per hour times 40. So you might be paying out $800 a week. And that's a liability that's reoccurring, that is constantly going to be there. So that would be a liability. Go through and go, this is what makes that person an asset. This is what makes that person a liability. There's always pros and cons of anything. Figure out those, move to the next step. Determine delegable tasks. You know, if you're a master plumber and you got to hook up all of the sink fittings, you probably can't delegate that to somebody that's never hooked up a sink before. But you could have him do the setup at the job site. So he pulls out all of the tools. He has a list of all of the tools and equipment and materials that is there. He's managing all of that. So he unloads all the tools and he loads up all the tools at the end of the day. These are the things that are going to be really important to delegate out. Moving on, create the title and job position. This is a big one. This is why it's third, is that you actually want to do this and then this and then this last. You won't know what you can pay out until you know what you actually need them to do. And it's really important at that creating the position to try and outline every single thing that you can think they're gonna need to do. Try and get it in their contract before you start asking that of them. If that means that you have to pay them more or renegotiate things, do it. Don't just all of a sudden be like, here's more workload. If you're enjoying this video and you wanna see more like it with me and Vision here as we talk about other topics, these are some titles of what we're working on right now. If any of these interest you, please subscribe and turn on your notifications so you see whenever it comes out. The 4th is going to be the only one that you actually have to do, and that's filing the needed accounts. Depending on the state, depending on where you live, that's gonna be very different. But you are going to need an EIN. If you don't have it already, you're gonna need to open an account for unemployment, because now you're gonna have to start paying into an account in case you fire them and they need to file unemployment. Don't do anything under the table. That's something big that most people try and do with like a really small business, is they're trying to scale, trying to keep everything on the DL and not pay for insurance and try and cut all these corners. Yeah, you get away with it, but that's really hard to scale. And eventually you're gonna have to change and get above table anyways. Pay the payroll, make sure that people are on a consistent schedule, direct deposits, and it actually is gonna be less on your plate. Just outsource that to a company that does it for a living, and they'll handle all of that, and then you can do all of the important stuff, like make money and make your business better. So let's recap here. Determine assets and liabilities. So again, we're gonna figure out, what does this person bring to the team, or in theory, what would they bring to the team? That's somebody that can do maintaining a professional appearance. That's somebody washing the vehicles. That's somebody setting up. That's somebody breaking down. That's somebody handling stray phone calls. That's somebody booking appointments. Whatever it is, figure out what those things are that you can delegate off to them, and then figure out the liability of it. We gotta carry insurance on them. We gotta run payroll now. We have X amount of dollars leaving the account every week, every month. That's general liability insurance, that's workers' compensation. Just 2 off the top. Also, that would be having to double your equipment. You know, like for us, we do paint and cabinetry in one of the companies. Okay, you bring out somebody else, that means now you need twice as many tools. You need twice as many brushes, twice as many rollers. These are all liabilities. And they're not a bad thing, because it just adds equity to the business. And if you want to scale, you can't have 5 people on a job site with 1 paintbrush. So that would be a liability of like, okay, if we just had an extra person here, what would they be using, considering they're doing these delegable tasks? Over to our determining the delegable tasks, we're gonna go, what are they good at, and play into their strengths. For instance, in cabinetry, somebody who loves sanding cabinet doors and they just like it's a repetitive, almost monotonous nature, just like door, sand it, move on to the next step. And there's also a really, really high attention to detail that's needed for that. And some people have that, some people don't. It doesn't make either of them a better person or a worse person. It just means that's what their character is more in tune with, and they like that kind of stuff, and you should tailor them to that. This is something that you have to do in your own jurisdiction, because it's gonna be different for every industry, every state, every city, every county, so on and so forth. There's always gonna be nuances. You have to just be willing to take it on the chin. You're probably gonna lose some money. That's okay, that's part of the process. That is, at its core, the most important things that I know of whenever you're hiring your first employee. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.